Oh, here we go again. It's another Mess Hunter video. And this one's a strange one because I've found something very strange, and I'm going to head up to the picnic area next to the dog park first off. This little picnic area is remarkably clean. Now I think the council's actually come along here and totally tidied up this morning. It's possibly the cleanest that I've ever seen it. The mindless taggings and whatnot doesn't stop. No matter how many times this table is painted over, it just gets re-tagged. That's been the trend of 2020. I can see up on the kindergarten there's some spray work going on. Been a bit of tagging like that going on around the suburb, but it's when I start to walk over this side of the park, it starts to get a bit messy. In this area here, along the logs, I often find things like this, and because of sensitive YouTube, I'll have to blur out what I see there. Maybe best described as modified energy drink bottles. The logs here often hide all sorts of things. If you take a look down inside the holes there. I was here earlier this morning on my morning walk, and I found something down here very strange, and what is even stranger is it's been taken away, but luckily I took a photograph of it earlier on, but I'll show you where it was first. Okay, it was that area there. It was a large plastic bag that was wrapped with electrical tape, black electrical tape. It's about the size of a suitcase, and I can still see the mark on the ground there of where it was, so I'm sort of wondering who's taken that away in the last half hour. I sent a picture to many people I know of the bag that I found there, and I heard everything from it was a drop of something a bit illegal to a body. Now there's another bag up here. I think the thing to note here is it's a fairly well-worn little path through here. There's all sorts of little paths through here, but it's what's here that also caught my eye this morning, and this bag is still here. Okay, so just like the other bag, it's black plastic wrapped with electrical tape. That is black electrical tape. Just to get a scale of it, I don't want to touch this bag. I'm going to put my hand near it. Okay, it's like the size of a head. Okay, it looks very, very suspicious. I don't like the look of it. So the smaller bag is here next to the tree, and to give you a relationship to where the other bag was, and I'll do a strange zoom like this, the other bag was down there. The black bag is in that clump of grass there, and in relation to the picnic area is just there. This is a view from the swing set at the park. At the base of the tree over there is where the small plastic bag is hidden, and for the fact it's fairly well hidden, has me very, very suspicious. Yeah, this area, like I said before, you can tell people have been in here, and you can see where they go, and often you'll find things hidden in the grass, often cans of deodorant. I found all sorts of things here. It's pretty clean here because occasionally the council do come through and clean things up. And look, here's some great evidence of what goes on here. This is matting from the playground. Now, why is it over here? Okay, why would you bring it over here and stack it up like this? You know, one wonders what's going on here. You see strange things like this all the time. This is under the swing set, and I want to show you the rubber that gets pulled up and for some reason gets stacked over in the scrub. Why are they doing that? That's a total mystery to me. But you can see a lot of the rubber here, it's been ripped up. And just on the other side of the fence here is the dog park, and you'll often find things in that zone there as well. Okay, yes, I can see a wrapper of a sweetie down on the ground there. It's been a really strange time during 2020. I've seen some really unusual activity in the suburb, but I think finding these bags this morning and the fact that one's just vaporized and gone is really spooky. And I'm sort of thinking that this bag here, I'm thinking it's a police matter. It's just too suspicious looking. I did take a look in all the bins that are near the park here, and I took photographs of what was inside. Just wanted to see if that other bag that's disappeared is in a bin, and I couldn't find it. I hate finding mysterious bags hidden in parks, and the people that I sent a photograph to of what I found here this morning, everybody was spooked. Everybody had an idea what was inside the bags, And that's, you know, the crazy part about this. It could be anything in those bags. I have called the authorities. I'm now just waiting for them to turn up. And what I'll do in this video is I'll leave a comment at the top of what happens after this point. I don't want my video camera to be out when they come and inspect what's going on here. Oh, I just wish we could go back to normal times, back before the silliness took over the suburb, and all during 2020, all I seem to find is messy silliness. The next day, I went to see if the parcel had been picked up by the police. Sure enough, it wasn't there. But what confronted me was one of the biggest messes that I've seen in the suburb. Looks like the local teens have found a can of white paint. Maybe they were coming down here to paint over the table because it was all tagged up, but it looks like they missed the table completely. And if you had a closer look in the paint, you could also see things that were telling you other things had been going on there. There were footprints in the paint. There were daubals of paint going all over the place. Who knows, they may have been preparing for one of their end-of-year major art exhibitions. It was a spectacular splash of white paint. By looking in the bins, it told me what had powered this painting frenzy. I also noticed that the park rules have been edited by the locals here, so they can do whatever they want. The next day, there was a lot of rain, so that really pushed the white paint around. It made it a far messier affair. A lot of local people came along to see this mess. A lot of people were talking and wondering why this was going on. It was no surprise to me. And maybe the teens here were trying to emulate the famous American artist Jackson Pollock, because there was evidence of alcohol in the area, lots of it, and there was copious amounts of randomly splashed paint. Maybe the local council should have erected a fence around this mess and charged people to come and see the artwork. And that way, instead of spending ratepayers' money to clean up the mess, the council could have made money from this mess. As part of the cleanup of this big mess, the council did paint the table back to being clean without tags and graffiti, but it only takes a day or so and the tags and graffiti are reapplied to that table. It's a cycle of vandalism that never seems to stop. This little children's park sadly attracts a really bad crew of people in the suburb. Even though the council have put bins there and done everything they could to make this a better place, there's always a few who want to come along and leave their mark, leave their mess, and turn this area into a very unsightly and dangerous place. Remembering this is a children's park and there's some stuff that's left behind that you would never want children to see or experiment with. Here's an astonishing fact for you. I've made 14 Mess Hunter videos over the past 6 months. That's between April to September 2020, which is what I call the virus year. This video series started off by me noticing some strange things being left on the ground leading to certain parts of the suburb. That then exposed some fairly radical behaviours going on by some in the suburb in the evenings. As you can see from these panoramic photographs, my suburb is actually a beautiful place. But sadly, there's a minority of people here who are dead keen on wrecking parts of the suburb, and their cycle of destruction never seems to end. These people do this unchallenged and without fear of the law. I've always spoken about the triangle of trouble in the suburb. Let's finish off the video by taking a look at 2 other points on that triangle. We'll start with Marina Street Oval first via what's been said on the local Facebook page. I'm not on Facebook, so I get to see these via SMSs of people who can see the local Facebook page. To all the idiots, losers, lowlifes and morons who feel the need to destroy and litter Marina Street Playground on the weekends, this is just a tip. Why not try doing something to help the world instead of destroying it any further? Don't you think we have enough going on the planet at the moment? Broken gates, litter, trampled plants and trees smashed to the ground. Good work. Here's another post and it says someone has tagged Nathan Tilbury. He's a councillor with the local council. Now, if someone gets injured at one of these parks after the mess has been left in the park, the liability falls back to the council. So I'll read this post here. I posted about the same thing not long ago. I also reported it to council. If it is unsafe, council after hours number needs to be contacted to come out urgently and clean it up. Doesn't look like anything is going to happen to prevent this from happening. At the time, I do think I should have reported the vandalism to police as well. if every time it happens the police and council get a lot of phone calls, something may be done. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been looking into this for months now, and from what I can see, nothing has been fixed. And from what's been said on Facebook, and from what people are talking about on the street, the temperature here is getting pretty hot. Local residents around this park are getting sick and tired of having to come in and clean up after the local louts have one of their parties in the park. And of course they get bored down there, so they tag up everything in sight. You heard they trampled trees. It's wonderful. They just love wrecking the place. And to the last point on our triangle of trouble in the suburb, it's Berowra Oval. It's where the soccer club is. Let me read a Facebook post first. Why doesn't Hornsby Police and Council get together and put CCTV up? Put some lights up at the ovals. I live opposite Berowra Oval, and every weekend a group of beep bags run wild. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but one thing I can see is the tags that are put around the barbecue area at the soccer club is also the same sort of tags and graffiti that you see in many other parts around the suburb. And what has been astonishing is the frequency of the tags having to be painted over, and within days all the tags are put back up again, and then the painting crew comes back in, paints over it again, and again within days the same thing happens over and over and over. This activity has been completely rampant during the virus times. It really kicked off in April and it hasn't stopped. I think the saddest part to all this is I can't even predict or have any faith that the problems in Berowra are going to stop. If this is a war, well, it looks like I've lost the war. The local louts have won. And I say this because there's nothing else that I can do to raise the awareness to have something happen to come in to have this activity stopped. And I'm sure all the people screaming on Facebook feel the same as me. I have this saying, and I'll have to beep out one of the words, the shit always floats to the top. And sadly, that's what's going on in Berowra. The next Mess Hunter video, it's a complex Mess Hunter video. I go to another suburb after I was told about a vicious vandal attack at a local playground within the suburb of Cherrybrook in Sydney. I've been out to Cherrybrook to get my head around what went on out there, spoke to quite a few residents, also some teens at the local skate park there, and the very common question is, why did this happen? Who has done this? And once I started speaking to people, then you find out, oh, there's been other fires in the suburb as well. Cherrybrook is a really nice suburb in Sydney. It's the sort of suburb where a starting price for a home is at least $1.5 million. In fact, I'd be more comfortable to have $2 million before I even started to look for a house there. And as I found out, and in a strange way it's very similar to Berowra, it's had some very troubling activity going on during, you know what, the virus times. So yes, the next Mess Hunter video will be taking a trip out to the wonderful suburb of Cherrybrook.